Hello, I'm Hayden, your host and licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party, and this is the Evergreen RX. So, welcome back. New artwork, new mic. For those of you listening, we are elevating this shit up. I have put a lot of behind the scenes work into this podcast, and I'm excited to be back at it. If I'm honest, I'm really nervous to be recording again. It's been a little bit, but I know I'll get into the swing of it, and we'll just keep the wheels turning. So today I'm super excited to talk about making friendships casual again. How fun. So this topic has been really top of mind lately as I have been cultivating and nurturing all of my new and old friendships this past year. And I just feel like there's a lot to say for the people in my age group, Gen Zers, 20-year-olds, um, about friendships because I feel like it's been pretty tumultuous for all of us. I don't know if I'm the only one feeling that. I don't think that I am. Um, and so I just want to talk about what the hell happened to casual friendships and how to cultivate closeness with the people in our lives. And I'll talk a little bit about anxieties, about making friends, and also blocks to taking those friendships to the next level, and throw out some ideas on how to kind of bring that casual, intimate flair to your relationships, so that hopefully you feel kind of empowered to level up some relationships that maybe people you've been wanting to get closer to, um, or just new adult friendships that you still want to feel really fun and really chill. Yeah, let's just kick it off with like what the hell happened to our casual friendships. I feel like people maybe mid 20s specifically, but honestly at any point in the 20s, COVID really hit us at a bad time. I hate to just like jump right in talking about the pandemic that like no one wants to hear anybody talk about anymore. But I feel like it smacked us at a bad time because kind of that transition from childhood, adolescence to adulthood. Um, and so what happened, at least I feel like for me, when talking about friendships, is I went from high school friendships that were, pretty casual. You see these people every day. Usually, you're their parents, you've been to their house, like sleepovers. And then college, like beginning college, your roommates, and it's like this big kind of party. And then all of a sudden, I blinked and was like, oh, I'm 24 and I live in an apartment in a cute neighborhood with like a lot of adults, and all I ever do is see my friends for happy hour or for dinner or, like to do a set activity. Like, I haven't had people over just to chill in a long time. I haven't, like, just kind of lived life doing like random chores or activities with a friend. I don't call friends spontaneously. Like, everything just seemed to be scheduled all of a sudden. So I don't know. Maybe this is something that kind of just goes on with every generation. I'm sure to a degree that's really true. But I just feel like the internet meets COVID meets like everyone having like increasing social anxiety really like has accelerated this trend of activity based friendships or friendships that are really limited to certain situations or uh, areas of our life. And so some of those really close personal relationships where it's just like you just are chilling with this person because you guys just get along. Like you just like each other, you make each other laugh. Like what happened to that category of friends? And so the one thing I kind of feel like when I was thinking about this that seems to transcend the barriers to intimate friendships, like the one activity I feel like transcends that is going out. Like maybe you're going out friends That's like more the people that you still get ready together and like pick out outfits together, and maybe you like crash at each other's places and like debrief the next morning about what went on, and like that's a little sleepover vibes. But what happens when you like don't want to really go out, or you don't do that a lot? And so how do you have that type of intimacy with people that you're just like straight chilling with? So yeah, that's what I've been pondering, like bridging this gap, taking some of my relationships that I've cultivated in the past couple of years and leveling them up, moving them up the pyramid of friends. If you listen to my last season, episode 6, about navigating friend breakups, I talk a little bit in that episode about the pyramid of friendships and how, we have acquaintances, we have like work friends, we have school friends, we have close people that we hang out in a group, and then we've got like best friends. And so, you know, that's what I'm talking about with like leveling certain people up through that pyramid. Last time on episode 6, I was talking about how you move them down or out of the pyramid. But there's a lot of value in how you move them up too. Yeah, I've just been trying to figure out how to bridge this gap. And the more I've been doing that, the more I have been bringing people in just like for a good time. And, just because I enjoy their presence, and spending more kind of relaxed, low pressure time with them, I've really been enjoying it. I've been feeling like very fulfilled with social connection because I just think that piece was missing. So if you're feeling that like that piece is missing, girl, I'm with you. So at least we have that in common. So when I'm talking about these low pressure ways to hang out, what am I meaning? I've already given a little bit of a vibe, but I'm talking about going on walks with friends. Okay, that one's not too revolutionary. Like, probably a lot of us still do that. But running errands with friends, packing for a trip while your friend just like sits on the couch and keeps you company, having someone over for leftovers and a random episode of TV. Like, just nothing special. Nothing that special, nothing with a lot of fanfare. And I think a key here too is nothing has to be super scheduled out. Um that was another qualm of mine. Friendships started becoming like another to-do list item, and in no way was it like hanging out with the person was to-do list. But managing my schedule to figure out when we could hang out and what we were going to do and to get the reservation for it, that became a chore where I was like, this is not what I want to be doing with my out of work time. So, yeah, some of those kind of more chill, like cleaning your apartment and just having someone over. Maybe you guys clean together and then you go clean their place. Or, maybe they just kind of like chill on the couch while you do some light cleaning. Um, just opening our minds to what that would even be like, who we would enjoy to do that with, to be that, kind of close personal pal with. Kind of in the same vein is the idea of parallel play, which I've heard talked about a lot recently, and it's really funny because I think it's such a like official word for just like a really cute concept. Parallel play was first coined when talking about like children and the way that they would like build their Legos next to each other, but they weren't building the same thing. And they were just kind of existing in silence, like doing an activity together. That's a type of play. But now people have really been talking about this when it comes to adult relationships and how comforting it can be to just be like chilling with someone in the park and you're both doing your respective thing. And you're not talking, but you're not alone. And if you were to say something or you have, something to share, that they would be there and they would listen. And I actually read a really interesting article about this, that part of it has to do with feeling safe. Like you have this kind of like secure base or this person that is there while you play. So if you, ran into some kind of like roadblock or you just wanted to connect, that there's like someone you can reach out to and kind of touch in with. And then that can be really comforting, and different, distinctly different than if you just went to the park and you did your own thing by yourself, which also has value. But parallel play, I think, has been coming up a lot more in the conversation recently because we're desiring this type of contentment with people. When you can sit in silence with somebody and you feel comfortable, that is like the hallmark of like a close relationship. You're like, we can just sit in the car and not say anything and be in our own worlds. And like that's kind of what parallel play is talking about too. It's just that real safe, comfortable company with someone in your life. And I think that can be so bonding. You're not even getting to know each other really. But you're just existing in each other's space for a while. Um, which like what a love letter too to someone. Like I just like you so much that I want to like exist in your space. Like I want to like have you in part of my energy, in my bubble for a little while, even if we're not talking. Another trend I see that I think is this desire for these casual relationships is the resurgence of clubs. Like I'm a part of a book club. I actually started a book club. Um, and like one of my friends has an arts and crafts club, and you can see a bunch of stuff like that on TikTok. And I really think that is in large part, again, to this desire to just like be with people just to be with them. Take the pressure off like a group interaction where it's like small talk and you feel like you have to just like play by these certain formal adult rules with how you talk or like how long you engage in conversation. I think sometimes these clubs help transcend that. I know for my book club, like we talk about like the book is an accessory. Like we discuss it lightly. We break up the chat with some book discussion. But it's like it really is just what brought us all together. It's not really that any of us were too passionate about talking about the ins and outs or our deep thoughts on these books that we read, but it's kind of that idea of like I'm reading this, like when I'm going to bed, I'm reading my book and I know like my friends are reading it too. And like we have something to kind of touch in on, or I could text someone and be like, "Oh my god, this happened." It's a little bit cheating for the book club because you are, supposed to kind of save that chat, but still, it's because it's about the connection more than the actual activity. Another fun little trending activity is the PowerPoint parties. I think those are so funny. Like, hey, friends, sit down and here's my PowerPoint of my trip. And I just think that, again, goes to kind of this desire of living life alongside our friends. Like, feeling like we are doing things together that we're not even actually doing together. But it's like, what is the night out if not the debrief after? Like we want to communicate and share and talk about our experience, our feelings, or, you know, what is going through our head through different stages or different events in our life. And the more that we can cultivate these casual relationships where you could just call up your friend and be like, oh my God, you will not guess what I just heard. I feel like the more intertwined we feel with the world, with the people around us, with our community. Like, and what's so cool about the internet, at least, is your community can mean like a lot of things. And it can be the people that are really close and in your life, but it can also mean the people that are across the country that you talk to and you're just like, so and so did this. Can you believe that? And they like don't know who those people are. They just know that it's like drama to you. So it's good no matter what. And those moments are really, really special. So, how do we get there? How do we make these close, intimate relationships? How do we make friendships casual again? That's the question you've all been begging for the answer to, right? So, I think that there's some anxieties, there's some barriers to defining the relationship. I don't know why that is what keeps coming into my head when I think about this, but it is kind of that concept of like, what are we? Are we close friends or are we like work friends, And breaking that barrier is scary because it's kind of like when you are dating someone and you're like, are we official or are you still seeing people? And like that is a vulnerable ask to be like, do you like me as much as I like you? Do you want to spend this kind of time with me? And so one of the things I think with that is sometimes you just got to be the brave soul to break the barrier, to just ask or to say to someone like, "Hey, I like really love to have people over just casually. Like I've got leftover pizza and there's a new episode of Survivor. Like, do you want to come?" You can kind of do it in that indirect way or the direct way. You can say, "I really value like getting to spend time with my friends in this way," or "this is how I find that I'm able to work people into my schedule best is, last minute hangs or doing some errand hangouts." And so, you can kind of start to throw those things out there and see how the person responds. Like if they're like, yeah, I would love to come over and have pizza and watch Survivor with you and just coexist with you, then awesome. Like that will kind of get the wheels turning. If somebody's not at that place, no problem. Good info. And it's not like you can't, over time work in more of that kind of casual intimacy, but maybe it's not what everybody is looking for or what every friendship is going to be like. Like I said, pyramid of relationships. These close casual friendships, like that's not going to be all of the relationships on our pyramid. I think there's also a component of kind of resistance to bringing people into our bubble. Now, this I feel like was a little bit exaggerated by COVID because I went from being a college student in a dorm type apartment to being like halfway through grad school living with my boyfriend before COVID was over. And I was like, bink, bink, like, what just happened? Excuse me? And I was so set in my routines and my way of life at that point because it hadn't really been interrupted by unexpected things, by, you know, a random last minute hang with a friend. Like it just wasn't happening. So then I just got used to this predictability and this level of control over my time. So then as I came back out of the shell and started meeting more people and spending time with these people, like a random phone call, I'd be like, how am I supposed to answer this? I'm in the middle of something. I was going to do my laundry and then I was going to do this. And I did not factor in a phone call. But the more I started to pick up and just be like, even just talk for 10 or 15 minutes and kind of put the schedule on hold, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fun. Like, I feel more alive in this sense. But it took some of that, like, control and predictability over my schedule to loosen a little bit. To be like, it's okay. Like, I have the time to spare. I can work this in. Like, this is just something new. And so there was that, as initial resistance and kind of pushback on having gotten so used to kind of controlling my adult life and what that looked like and what my schedule was going to be. And another part, because you guys did not think I was going to talk about this without talking about vulnerability, did you? It can be scary to really let people in to our lives in a meaningful way because it's like, well, what if they hurt me? What if they leave? What if they judge me? Like I can't let this person in so much because then it would hurt more if this doesn't last. Girl, I have been there. I am still there sometimes. But the rewards, the healing that we can get from these close, casual, intimate, meaningful, more childlike relationships, oh, it's so good. Like healing in the sense of those, best friendships that you're nostalgic for, that you miss. Maybe the childhood friend where you were just at each other's house every other day, or the relationships that you lost, that you were hurt by that didn't last. You have another opportunity. You can make new friends. You're an adult now. You know yourself better. You have discernment, you have good judgment with who you can bring into your life and who's worthy of being let in all the way. That can be so healing. It's been very healing for me. Again, if you listen to episode 6, like I talk about my friendship struggles, my heartbreak. And for a long time, it was like, what? I've got to keep people on the outside of this wall that I've built. Because on the outside, at least I'm a little bit safer than if they totally see me. But that also kept me from really beautiful connections of people that really do want to see me and know me deeply. And, this can also be healing for those relationships that you wanted that you maybe never had. If you were never met those kind of close people you clicked with throughout school, or you felt like you were on the outside and that you were never going to find people that you just totally meshed with. Well, that's just not true. And you have the opportunity. But we have to let people see us, to give them the opportunity to surprise us, to accept us, to make us feel loved and supported. That's another thing about this. When we feel really comfortable with people through a series of letting them in more and more and spending more time together and living life kind of side by side, you have people that you can lean on in hard times, which that can be a challenge too. Like calling someone up and being like, hey, do you have like 20 minutes to talk? Because like I just had such a difficult day at work, or my parent said something that was super upsetting, or someone I care about is sick. Like, to just be able to call someone and be like, can you be here for me? And can you listen? And that takes a level of vulnerability and safety and trust that doesn't just, get built overnight or over just seeing someone for lunch or happy hour every so often. So I will round it out by talking again about the pyramid of relationships, because I wanted to talk about casual relationships, making relationships casual, because I feel like that's kind of one of those segments, one of those pillars that's missing in relationships a little bit more often now. Like, we don't have that domain kind of covered. But another one I feel like is the acquaintanceship. Like, I think this is in the same vein of like why people are starting to romanticize like having your local coffee shop and like knowing your mailman or things like that, is we're trying to fill out and have a more robust social circle. I don't think that feeling like you're a part of your community can be overstated. That is so beneficial to our mental health, like that someone cares and notices us and sees us, and we're a part of their day-to-day too. And I think it's kind of funny, like the juxtaposition between like the people on the lowest part of the pyramid, which are like these acquaintances, and then the people at the top, these really close friends, have some things in common of just this familiarity and this routine and consistency to them. So it's no wonder that some of that, is also in the cultural conversation and being desired by people, especially young people, because it was just taken away from us. And also, it feels so good when you do have it, when you are able to cultivate people at each tier of the friendship pyramid. So I'm kind of redefining the dose. And I think I want to define it this way, but I might change it, so don't hold me to it. The dose is kind of the recap I give at the end of every episode to tie into this whole idea of your prescription for living well, that this podcast is about introducing you to topics or discussions or to guests that have something to say about wellness, from any angle. And I think wellness is really like all encompassing. We can kind of take any topic in that direction of how it impacts our mental health, how it impacts our overall fulfillment and contentment and joy in life. But to me, the dose, the little cap off at the end of episodes, is really just leaving some questions, some things to ponder about whatever the given topic is, because each topic is kind of its own ingredient in your medicine, your dose for living well, or it's you can think of it as a color or a tool in your toolbox. And so the thoughts are just really to leave you with a check-in to say, like, do casual friendships have a place in your prescription for living well? Do you feel like you're missing this component? Does this resonate with you, make you excited? Does it feel important for you to add this component into the way that you shape your life to create the greatest level of fulfillment? So, you always get to decide. I'll leave you with these questions and then you decide. Does this have a place in my toolbox? So I would just say to take some stock of your current relationship pool. Do you have people in each category of that pyramid of friends? And for close friends, are you longing for greater intimacy and connection with those people? When's the last time you called a good friend and asked if they wanted to have a hangout at your place? Or called someone that you've been getting to know and ask if they have a moment for you to rant? Is that something that you want? Does it feel important to this prescription that we're creating together for living well, living as well as we possibly can? For me, casual friendships have been a huge part of that. But you decide and let me know. Please keep the conversation going. Send me questions. Y'all, I have been active on TikTok, so you can head over there and just always reach out and share your thoughts with me. I would love to hear from you. And join me next week for another deep dive into mental health, spirituality, and deepening your relationship with yourself, your body, the world around you. We might get a little witchy along the way, but we are always working to cultivate and refine and create your prescription for living well. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time. Bye.